Chapter 11 focuses on Jefferson and his presidency, and just a reminder that all images within this worksheet do have links to their sources and are in the public domain. The last video worksheet here does contain a video clip here, YouTube, and it is a clip of about 45 minutes. You don't have to watch the whole thing, but it's a very interesting video clip about the Lewis and Clark expedition, and it's put together by National Geographic. But again, that's a video link to YouTube where there's a video about Lewis and Clark. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to email. As we work through Chapter 11 questions, I wanted to point out a couple of answers to you. We'll start here with answer number 5. What did the old ladies of Federalist families allegedly do to their Bibles out of fear of Jefferson's election? And so I wanted to show you here that the old ladies, well, let's put some color in there. The old ladies of Federalist families, fearing Jefferson's election, even buried their Bibles, hung them in the wells. So the fear was that a liberal in religion, Jefferson incurred the wrath of an Orthodox clergy. There was just this paranoia, especially with all the rumors that he was accused of having robbed a widow of her children trust fund and having fathered numerous children by his own slave woman. There were rumors, the rumors that turned out to be true, but rumors nonetheless at the time that Jefferson was somebody that the God-fearing preachers of New England should be afraid of. If you look on page 213, I've corrected this, page 213, the examining the evidence. Let's see here. There's this part here. Take a look at this. It's in your book on page 213, and it examines Jefferson's the DNA attack, and also the attack by James Callender, who first publishes this idea that the possibility that Thomas Jefferson had fathered a child with a slave. You can take a look at the electoral results of the election of 1800. I believe that they are here. The electoral results, you can find those in the book, but it's actually a very close election, the electoral results. And then also down here at the bottom, number 14, how did John Kennedy view Jefferson? And there's this quote, "The most extraordinary collection of talent of human knowledge that has ever been gathered together at the White House, with the possible exception of when Thomas Jefferson died alone." You can compare maybe Thomas Jefferson and some of Thomas Jefferson's personality traits, and it might become clear why John Kennedy was such a huge fan. A couple of those hints there for the first page of Chapter 11. We'll move to the second page now. There's a big theme in this chapter that deals with something that occurs right when John Adams leaves the White House and Thomas Jefferson comes in, and it's this idea of Marbury versus Madison and the John Marshall Supreme Court. Eventually, the precedent that is established in this Supreme Court ruling is this precedent of judicial review. We'll spend some time in the PowerPoint video looking at that. I also have another short video clip that you can look at. But the dead clutch of the judiciary, in that section of your textbook, spend some time reading that, the dead clutch of the judiciary. And also one of the answers is actually in the footnote. So make sure you look at the footnote on page 209. The answer here to number the answer here to number 26 is this idea that during a hurricane and tidal wave in Savannah, Georgia, one of the boats was deposited, one of these little Jeffs was deposited in a cornfield, and so the critics of Jefferson's new navy drank toast to the American gunboats as the best in the world on land. So Jefferson put together this navy, and he did it it says here, he did it with the democracy in mind, democratically constructed. He gives the contracts out very democratically to win votes, but also then that these Jeffs, as they were called, this mosquito fleet, he liked the idea of constructing fast, but they were frail vessels, and they would be quick and able to guard American shores. But these boats, these smaller crafts, could then be democratically constructed. Let's take a look at that, and we'll move on to the next page. Okay, on this page we will focus a little bit here on Jefferson's Louisiana Purchase, and how Jefferson felt. How did Jefferson feel about this purchase? He was a little conflicted about this purchase. We'll talk about that. Jefferson wrestled with this because, as a strict interpreter of the Constitution, was the purchase of Louisiana strictly constitutional? And here it is, where in his beloved Constitution the authority to negotiate these treaties did not exist. So he's conscience-stricken. Privately, he proposed a constitutional amendment to be passed, but his friends pointed out this is not necessary. He admits privately that the purchase was unconstitutional. This is one of those inconsistencies of Jefferson. He's a strict interpreter of the Constitution and states' rights, and a weak government, yet when he becomes president, he exercises the authority to purchase Louisiana. All historians would say that that was a good decision, because this ends up being something like 15 million acres, or $15 million for 828,000 acres, and it ends up being pennies per acre. So it's a great deal, and it's something that you couldn't turn down, but in a truest sense of the word, it was unconstitutional. So Jefferson writes the Declaration of Independence and talks about all men are created equal, yet he has slaves. Jefferson is against the National Bank and against the debt that Hamilton proposes, yet he himself is bankrupt and has a huge debt. He is also then a big fan of strictly interpreting the Constitution and a weak government, yet when he becomes president, he exercises the power to purchase Louisiana. Three inconsistencies of Jefferson. Then we move on to number 33, and what Burr conspiracy did Alexander Hamilton help to foil? So Aaron Burr, Jefferson's first-term vice president, played no small part in provoking and justifying such fears. He was dropped from the cabinet, and then Burr joined a Federalist extremist plot to help New England succeed. The secession of New England and New York. Alexander Hamilton, however, no friend of Jefferson, but a friend of the government, of course, helped to expose this conspiracy, leading to this famous duel. This duel that exists here between Alexander Hamilton and Aaron Burr. Lots of controversy about the actual duel. Did Alexander Hamilton intentionally shoot in the air to take the higher road and avoid killing someone, or did he just have bad aim? Nonetheless, Aaron Burr does shoot Alexander Hamilton. Hamilton dies a few days later. So look at the Louisiana Purchase. We'll spend some time here and look at the actual purchase in the PowerPoint video. Feel free to give me an email or send a a phone call my way if you have any questions regarding this Aaron Burr conspiracy and other kind of embargoes that eventually lead to heightening tensions between the United States and France. So on this last worksheet page, I just wanted to call your attention here to this picture here is actually a video link to National Geographic, about a 45-minute video that you're welcome to watch. It would be good to sit through and just try to understand the significance of the Lewis and Clark expedition. This is kind of their route, starting basically in St. Louis and winding their way out to the west coast. A great book to read when you are done with the class. It's this Undaunted Courage by Stephen Ambrose. But this book kind of goes through and talks about the incredible journey that existed, or that occurred when Lewis and Clark basically explored this new territory and tried to do it when they got out past the Purchase in this area here. The voyage becomes a bit of an espionage kind of trip, a spying trip, because this territory is owned by Britain, and these explorers, under the guise of the military, are invading, if you will, or they are spying on a country where we have kind of heightened tensions. So there's also some talk here at the end of your chapters, a few questions about William Henry Harrison and the Battle of Tecumseh and Tippecanoe, leading into the next chapter. But that concludes the video accompaniment to the questions for this chapter.